John did not say in that reading. For 20 chapters, we heard about the church. We heard about the activity of God. We heard about the power and the presence and the judgment and all the rest. We get to the 21st chapter and we hear the words, "It is finished." The reason John reports in his journal, John Wesley, reports in his journal every year where he was and what he was doing on November 1st. He mentions Easter a handful of times. He mentions Christmas maybe twice. It's not about the incarnation for John. It's not about the crucifixion or even the resurrection. It is about God and what God is doing now. When we get to the 21st chapter, and John the Divine, from now on when I would say John, I mean the author here. When John says, "And I saw the new Jerusalem coming down from heaven like a bride adorned for her husband." Do you notice what he did not say? Again, I asked that question. What? No, she says? He didn't say that?
I didn't hear what he didn't say.
Oh, you didn't hear it? Okay. That's a double negative, so you did hear. John does not describe the mansions. He doesn't describe the streets. He doesn't say that my great Aunt Susie was waiting for me. He doesn't say okay. John offers. Oh. I'm going to have to start over now. Oh, good. It's 10 to 10. John does not describe heaven. It's not about who's in or who's out. He doesn't go on to describe anything that is important in his lifetime. It is finished. I saw a new heaven and a new earth because the old had passed away, and the sea was no more. Now, if you're familiar with your first century apocalyptic literature, and I'm sure you all studied that in grade school, you know that in the apocryphal writings, Daniel, Revelation, and Ezekiel, whenever you want to describe chaos to a desert people, you say it's the sea. Chaos, death, all the things that the four horsemen brought with them were no more. All of the things that you're waiting for in heaven are no more. Do you realize how important that all the things that are so confounded important in your life this morning are no more. All the things, your country, your family, your religion, your church, your very life are no more. It is finished. The one seated on the throne that John had already said to us is the Lamb, the Messiah, the Christ, the Anointed One. All that is gone. All that remains is the one who creates new this morning. In a little bit, we're going to mention or read off names, and I'll invite you to offer remembrance names of those saints who have walked among us. You see some former members of our church, most recently Fred Husky Sr. All of those people had dreams and hopes and aspirations in this life. I cleaned up an abandoned cemetery in D.C. many years ago, and every day I would go in and I would clean another yard of debris out of the cemetery, and I'd uncover names. The one that's always stuck with me is Baby Mary. No date, no last name, just a name. And I thought, with each name, will I see them in heaven? John tells us in this reading that that is no longer your concern. It is not a matter of us wanting something in the sweet by and by, when all that remains is God. It is finished, the one seated on the throne said. I have created all things new. The reason we have language like the New Jerusalem and the city descending from the clouds is because that's the only language we can understand. We don't know what heaven is like. Please don't say, oh, when I get to heaven, I'm going to do this. No, you're not. I mean, it's like kids bringing books home on spring break. I'm going to study when I get home. No, you're not. Parents, you know that's true. What happens when you try to describe something that no one has ever seen? Can you tell me anything new today? Did anyone see the sunrise this morning?
Yes.
Okay. Has that ever happened before? Okay. Not exactly the same. Okay. There were some babies brought yesterday, or toddlers and infants, to the trunk or treat. They were new. But have there ever been babies before? 1 or 2 billion. What about the rain? Has it ever rained before? Not for very long. rained before. Do you think it'll rain tomorrow? It might. Or it might not. If it never rains again, God says, see, I'm making all things new. All the things that you have put your lock, stock, and heart into, those things will be gone someday.
But not love.
All of those people on this list our denomination already making plans for 2020 for a general conference in Africa. People already talking about where the next Super Bowl will be. Or please God, make it tomorrow, the next election. So we get this done with. So we get ready for the next one. All of those things, all that energy put into stuff that ultimately does not matter. God says, I am making all things new. No more mourning. No more pain. No more grief. No more death. All of those things that seem to weigh us down are no more. All the things. We know, but we don't know. We heard about more death this weekend. 4 more shot in Colorado. 1 more shot at a university in North Carolina. Every week there are reports of abuse or death or famine or natural disasters or church members that don't talk to each other. All those things will be no more. All that will remain is the one in whose name we are called. But there was a reason John was given this revelation. Because he still had a life to live. He still had things he had to do in this world. I had started off this morning intending to talk about St. Augustine's The City of God. And that's an illustration from the illuminated manuscript. He wrote that about 415. The year, not the time. So roughly 1,600 years ago, Augustine wrote The City of God, an argument against the pagans. Because in 410, the Visigoths had swept north, or from the north, and had sacked the eternal city. And residents of the western part of the empire started looking for reasons why it had happened. Whenever something bad happens, it's got to be someone's fault. Who can we blame this time? And attention swung back to the cross. Augustine said, you're missing the point. And this is a paraphrase because it's a big book. You're missing the point. Let the Visigoths take Rome. Let them take me. But they can't take God. Let the eternal city fall. It wasn't the fault of the Christians. Bad things happened to Rome before the Christians were ever thought of. Bad things will happen in this life. Some of us won't be here next year on November 1st. If there is a November 1st next year. So the question remains, and the question that John is putting to us is, what are you going to do with the time that God has given you? Whether it's 5 more minutes, or 5 more years, or 5 more lifetimes. We come before God on that day and say, it was all for you. It is finished, said the one sitting on the throne. The one that we will stand before if we're still standing. I don't know what it's like. I don't know what this is going to be like. But I sure want to find out. And I hope you do as well.